welcome to the Monday Motivation Spotlight, another episode featuring a special individual making a difference in Israel. Today, our guest is Hendee Metuka, who is a special person, spiritual. She's a delight. I've had the privilege of meeting her personally. She founded a nonprofit very recently called Yad El Hadofek after the devastating loss of her mother, Rut, to stage 4 breast cancer. This nonprofit, which has become her lifelong mission, helps women get access to life-saving medical screenings, awareness, doctor's appointment, and early intervention. And she helps them along the way and even takes them to their appointments where necessary, because she believes that early intervention is the name of the game. What makes this nonprofit special too is that Hendee's mom had a deep love for coffee and they shared a bond through coffee. So in addition, she founded Rut Coffee, a coffee bean company that helps fund the nonprofit's mission. Every cup of coffee helps support awareness, screenings, and the effort to save lives, one cup at a time, in her words. So sit back and enjoy this very special discussion that I had with Hendee. So Hendee, welcome to the Monday Motivation Spotlight. I'm so excited to have you here. I've had the privilege of meeting you personally. We met recently at a networking event where by chance we were paired together, although they say there's never anything by chance. It was meant to be that we met, and the moment I met you, I said, I need to have you on my podcast. So share with us, you made Aliyah from New York. Before we move into what you're doing now, share with us about your younger years. You made Aliyah at age 16, which is not always an easy age to make Aliyah, and then we'll move forward for the rest.
Also, Lesley, it was so nice to meet you and partner up with you. Out of all that, I think there was over 100. It was about, I don't know how many women were there, but I felt so aligned to meet you and your mission. And that was the best part of the networking day for me. And thank you for giving me this opportunity to share my story. And thank you to all the listeners that are listening. I did make Aliyah. Actually, I'm returning. I made Toshav Choser. My father's Israeli, and my grandmother is 7 generations from Jerusalem. So we were always told that we're going to return from the diaspora. And that was something that we were raised with. So coming back at 16, it just felt like coming home. And I didn't really know of another place I would want to live. And so on some level, it's easier to move here at 16 because I didn't know the system that well, especially the medical system, which we'll get into in the States. So I was able to learn from having children at a young age to my own well-being to taking care of my family. I really learned how to navigate the system here in Israel. I think it would be hard for me to live in the States because I don't know how health insurance there works, how to make a doctor appointment. So seems to have worked out in my favor.
Wow, amazing. So share with us being here as a young girl in your teens, leading into your 20s. Did you do the army? Share with us a little bit about your life then, and then we'll move forward into the story of your mom and the nonprofit that you started.
Yes, so actually, I was raised religious, so I'm part of a religious community. Coming to Israel, I came straight to Midrasha program, which was a seminary, and I got married the year after at 19, engaged at 18, and I had my first baby at 19 years old. So in my 20s, I was full-time mom, taking care of 3 little kids. I lived in Sfat, which is in North, that does have a thriving American community, English-speaking community. And so that was my experience in my 20s. And last year, or a year and a half ago, actually, my mom got diagnosed with breast cancer, and it really shook up my family because she was 61. She was only 60 when she got diagnosed. She was someone that was always on top of her mammograms. But because of COVID, and I think she was late for her exam by 3 years, which was new for her. And by the time she found out she has breast cancer, it was already stage 4. And it really shook our family. It shook me. We were not expecting that. She went back to the States because she had great health insurance and went through chemo and radiation. And eventually she went into remission after a few months. And then, unfortunately, 2 weeks after she went into remission, she passed away.
Wow, that's really quick. Normally, when one's in remission, you have a period before you have your remission, and then there's a longer period before one actually discovers if it does sadly return. So, are you saying because it was such a short timing and only 2 weeks later that she passed away, once they had said she was in remission, that there was something that they hadn't noticed, something that was not diagnosed?
You're right, you're correct. So she did have a headache, and it was so bad that she went to the hospital and they found that it already spread to her brain. She had tumors in the brain, and she didn't have an MRI in her brain, and they weren't focusing on that area. So she didn't have a brain scan. So it could be that there were already minor tumors there. We don't know. But it came like a wind. That's what I call it. It forced just took my mother, and I've never experienced a force like that. I said, "Oh my God, what was that? What was that?" And it was such a fast deterioration, and it was devastating for our family, but also because breast cancer is something that has pre-cancer stages or early detection, that you can cut a tumor out before it spreads. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I started my nonprofit, Yad El Hadofek, because I realized more importantly than treating cancer is catching it at an early stage. And that's the most important thing that's going to determine someone's outcome. And as women, I know I've resisted getting a mammogram or a breast exam because why would you want to go to the doctor? I remember feeling really uncomfortable, even violated my first breast exam because it's not comfortable. So I knew the second time I asked my friend if she can come with me. In Israel, it's very hard to get an appointment. You need to wait a long time. No one, it's most of the time it's a male gynecologist or the breast exam doctor
Surgeon.
is going to be a man. And so why should we do that alone? And that's when I started to realize that the most important thing for a woman to have early detection is to be supported. And that was what can overcome resistance or negligence, and being sisters and supporting each other and almost like overseeing each other's health, like advocating. And so I needed that. And I realized that my friends needed that. So after my mother's death, I just decided this is what I want to focus on. I took all the pain of the loss, which I think most people do, and I transformed it into something that advocates for women's health. And every woman I meet or any women's circle I'm at, I let the group of women know what I do. And usually at least 3 women, if there's more than 15, so 3 out of 15 women will come up to me. Even at that networking event, I got 3 new clients come up to me and tell me, "I'm late, help me." And the way they look at me and they say, "I need you." And then I call them and they say, "Thank you so much." Because there was a resistance there. They do need that little support, someone to take their hand. And I call them the next day. I help them make an appointment at their doctor. First, they need their gynecologist or their woman's doctor or their family's doctor to get a referral. Then they need the women's clinic for a mammogram or an ultrasound is outside your kupa. It's in a suta or somewhere else. So we need to make an external appointment. So I make the appointment with them, and most of the time I take them. I pick them up in my car. I take them. We go out to eat. We get to know each other after. And sometimes their results will say, "You need to check every 6 months." That's very hard. So then I have them in my CRM system and I remind them every 6 months, and we'll do the same thing. So that's called having a personal advocate. That's not going to allow you to neglect or resist. You're going to have that support that you need to stay on top of your health. No matter what's going on in this country, we had Corona, we have war. There's always a reason not to go get checked.
So you're literally holding their hand, which is very important. Look, some of the medical aids, the coupons, I think may be easier to deal with than others. Yes, there is often a long waiting period for having actually a breast exam check. But I think a lot of the issue is that people are maybe not setting reminders for themselves to actually make appointments between appointments from one appointment to the next. So that is something that you're assisting with. So share with us a little bit about how people are becoming aware of it. Are you going around from community to community? Let's share a little bit about from religious, non-religious to Haredi, how that works.
Yeah, so they talk about what it looks like right now and what the vision is, okay? Because the structure is that I'm taking care of people that I love. I have over 100 cousins just from my mother's side, okay? And I have over 100 people that I know from where I live now in Pardes Chana and from Tzfat where I used to live and from Jerusalem where my brother lives. So the beautiful part is that I really get to take care of people that I care about, which makes it amazing. And my vision is to have one person in each network, in each community, in each family structure, even that this is their role. It's almost like Yedidim, but that's for cars if you're stuck on the road. But it's like Yedidim for medical advocacy to just make sure that people are on top of their health, that people are receiving the support that they need. And so that's the vision for the future, that someone with good instincts that's really good at navigating the medical system, that's really sensitive, and they need certain criterias, that they will be the one to advocate. So I hope that there's the heart is that every community, if big family has that person, has that role, and will train them and create a CRM system that supports them in doing it.
Wow, phenomenal. And are you connecting? I remember we did speak about this when we met in person. Are you connecting to the hospitals as well, to the relevant departments that they can refer people to you, or that's already at a stage where they've already been detected?
Our main mission, we're focusing on early detection, and we cannot veer from that once someone is detected. There's a lot of organizations out there that are supporting people in their journey of choice, of recovery, and of treatment, but we're just focusing on early detection.
Share with us as well that in addition to founding this nonprofit, you said that your mom was a coffee lover and that you had a strong bond over coffee, that you used to have coffee with her every single morning. So in order to fund Yad El Hadofek, this project, you had the idea of merging it and founding Rut Coffee, Rut was your mom's name, in order to sell coffee beans to help raise funds for this project. Share with us a little bit about that.
That's the my favorite part is that I've worked in many nonprofits, and usually they get initial funding, and then after the first few years it fizzles out. And there's, I think Israel has the most nonprofits in the world that are not active. And I knew that I do not want to rely on donations, first of all, because this is such an important mission that it needs to be self-sustaining. And I cannot rely just on donors themselves. I'm sure we've already had some donations, and I'm sure we'll find many donors, and especially once we save lives like we have, and we will more. But each person, once they feel that how touched and how important this was for them, a lot of people also choose to donate. But I wanted to have a product that we can sell that makes sure that even during the hard times when donors are focusing on whether it's the IDF or other things that are happening in this country. So I chose coffee as my resource, and the biggest reason is because this was something that connected me to my mother. I would wake up early in the morning to have coffee with her. That was always my time with her. She was very busy. She was a very powerful, creative artist. She was a mosaicist.
Well, that's such a special moment and a time that I'm sure you will treasure forever, the special time that you did have with her in these conversations.
Her name is Rut Tiferet, and that's why my coffee beans, my coffee company is Rut Coffee, named after her. And she was a lover of coffee. That was her favorite time. She would meditate for an hour in the morning with a cup of coffee, and she was an alchemist. The way she would make her coffee, she would buy her beans, she would have all these machines, and I don't even know how to use the machines that she had. That's how complex it was, an alchemy. And so she would make me a cup because I wasn't even gonna try to make myself a cup of coffee, and very specific. And then I would get a lot of attention from her. We'd sit on her porch, we'd hear the birds, she would be able to hear all my what's going on with me. And after a cup of coffee, we would be busy. So that is really what connected us together. And even when she was struggling and passing away, we would bring her coffee beans to smell, and that's what gave her strength. We bought tons of essential oils and the coffee so that when in between the rose and the jasmine, you smell coffee to make the rose and jasmine smell better. But in the end, she just wanted the coffee. She was like, just give me more coffee to smell.
Wow.
And I told her I would bring coffee beans to her grave when I visit. So it's a really beautiful resource. And
Oh,
also,
wow. You told her that? In other
yeah,
words, you actually spoke about death with her?
yes, actually, I had a good hour only because those 2 weeks happened very fast. So in that hour, I knew she was going to die and she knew too. And actually, ChatGPT really helped me. It said, listen, I know this is hard, but your mother is probably going to die and things can deteriorate quickly. Ask her all these questions. And I got to ask her such beautiful questions like, what did you learn from life? Do you regret anything? And we had such deep conversation. Are you afraid to die? She said no, she's not afraid to die. She knows whatever's on the other side is more beautiful than this life. And she was like a meditation. And so I did get to have that conversation. And a few hours later, she couldn't talk anymore. It was a very special moment.
Wow, wow, definitely. That is a moment that will go with you for all your years.
I also want to say that I do use ChatGPT a lot for medical purposes. Obviously, it's not a doctor, but I have a lot of stories where ChatGPT saved lives. For example, my previous partner as well, he went for a heart echocardiogram, and his family doctor called him back and said, "Hakol takin, everything is fine." And I plugged it into ChatGPT, and it said, "You need to go to a cardiologist today because he needs to an emergency room." So we went to the cardiologist, and the cardiologist sent him for emergency open heart surgery. He needed a new valve.
Wow,
So,
I can't
yeah,
believe
so
that you put the results in, you uploaded the result.
I always upload results and blood tests and everything that I need to ChatGPT, and I say, act like a doctor, a professional.
It's all about the prompts, exactly
Field.
telling it, act like a doctor, act like a this.
So I also really, that's really important for each person to know that you have access to real professional intelligence when it comes to medical care.
Wow, that's unbelievable. So imagine going to a hospital and saying, the doctor said my results are okay, but ChatGPT says that I need to come to the ER room. Like, how do they handle that? Do they take you seriously, or it sounds absurd? Or do they say to you, this is so far-fetched?
No, that's the
Like, do
first
people
thing we
take them
said.
seriously?
Yeah, it's the first thing we said when we went to each doctor in each hospital, and they just looked at us like, that's wild.
Crazy, right?
It's wild that he said that at Coltaki because it's you need to be a cardiologist to understand the results because everything was Hakol Takin. It was only cardiologists would understand the emergency that is here. A regular family doctor, how would he know? How would he know? It's a specific number. It says everything here is good, everything here is good, everything here. Oh, this number, he could die tomorrow. So, but they didn't catch it.
But isn't it usually a cardiologist that would look at this kind of test, not usually a GP?
Not necessarily. The results go back to the family doctor. In this case, it went back to the family doctor. It didn't go back to the cardiologist. We decided to bring it back to the cardiologist because ChatGPT told us.
Andy, that's interesting. Are you thinking of going into general medical advocacy? Because your focus is on breast cancer and mammograms. And we did discuss also, you had mentioned when I saw you in person, met you in person, that you would also be working with gynecological cancers and pap smears. And now we've spoken about a heart issue. So is that your vision for the future to do general medical advocacy?
Good question. So, I also support women with skin conditions if they need a biopsy on a birthmark or something's asymmetrical or mysterious that needs looking at. And it also includes general early detection, of course. It's the main thing is to support all the people around you and to find more people that need support medically, because it's ultimately it's the system that we're creating, which is learning how to navigate your medical system. So we understand the kupa. We understand a lot of Americans here in Israel, they don't even know how to go about the app. It's really hard for them to just make a simple appointment. And sometimes it could take months, right? Sometimes it could take months to get an appointment at the cardiologist, which you might need today. So these things are very complex, and that's why it's really important. And so it's focusing on general early detection. But when I meet people, I focus on gynecological and breast cancer. And then I get to know them more. And I'll say, how's your health? And they'll say, well, I'm suffering from my lung. And then I'll say, what's your family history? And then maybe we need to focus on their lungs or a general blood test and see how they're doing if they're feeling weak. And my whole, everybody has their destiny and their purpose. I learned a lot of lessons from medical neglect. And a lot of my life was taking accountability and responsibility around medicine and making appointments and making them a priority for myself, for my children, and now I get to do that for others. So I really did learn a lot the hard way, and I see how hard it is to navigate. It's not only breast and cervical cancer that we're focusing on. It includes just general well-being and to support people to move past their resistance.
And also so important is to make sure that people have the correct health insurance. Are they just having a regular Kupa coverage? Do they have private insurance? Do they have an additional Kupa program? I know recently one of the sponsors of this podcast from Eggert & Cohn Insurance, he was talking about the importance of having additional insurance, additional health supplementary insurance. And he said you don't necessarily need the whole package, but he mentioned some things like having the option of having surgery abroad covered, or if you need some kind of medication that's not included in the basket. Is that something that you can also go into and check that they're adequately covered?
Of course, I have some clients that also have private insurance, and that's very easy, and they can go to a hospital in most cities and be covered. I also learned the important, if someone could afford it, why it's so important to have any sort of supplementary, advanced, or private insurance, because it can save your life at the end of the day.
Also, is your vision to do this medical advocacy in Israel where you can physically be present and have people in communities be present? Or is your vision to at some stage take this beyond the borders of Israel and to make this worldwide advocacy?
Love that vision. I think that right now I'm supporting people here. We're still in our early stages. You thought, wow, am I too early to even do this podcast? But I said, hello, we're early detection. There's no such thing as early. I think the most important thing that I want to express here is if anybody here is listening to this podcast and you're going, even if you're a man and you're going, oh, there is that thing that I know that I want to check, but I don't really want to check it. Maybe it's better if I don't know about it. If I know this, if I get a diagnosis, then I'll put more attention on it and then it will make it worse. People are scared to say the word cancer. They think it will come, like the boogeyman. So they're so afraid, actually.
The big C, the big C that they're
scared
of saying.
My mother wouldn't say it. And so it's like people are so afraid of this force, and I get it. I felt it. I got it. Darth Vader, Voldemort, don't say it. So they don't want to look at it, so they don't want to get tested. And they don't want to go to the doctor. They're going to ignore that pain, that lump, that mysterious asymmetrical thing that's growing. And that's when I'm saying, you heard, call me. First of all, we're going to have a name, number, and email that I'll give you that they can reach out to me. Okay, they can find me on Facebook and Instagram as Hendee Metuka. They'll see how that's spelled also in what you put out. And you can just call to discuss with me what it is that you're resisting. And that's the beauty of also advocacy. There's no pushing, there's no forcing, there's just awareness. So maybe somebody says, I need a mammogram, but I'm scared of mammograms. That's okay. There's an ultrasound. I know how to get you a referral for just an ultrasound, or perhaps a breast exam, or to teach yourself how to do that for yourself. I can teach you how to do that for yourself. And you know what? Early detection gives you control. It's not, we're taught to believe that it puts attention on the possibility of a diagnosis and then your life will be over and you'll lose control. When actually, no, the earlier you detect it, the more choices you have. I hope that nobody should ever have to choose between radiation and chemo. I hope that people would have to choose, if they had to, between laser and surgery. Yeah. So those are the options. And in order to have those options, we need early detection. So I think there's a lot of aboba maisas around the big C, which we need to take accountability for. And so I encourage those. I know that there are a lot of people, okay, at least 3 people listening right now that know that I'm talking to them.
Every single life that one saves is super important. So what you're doing is very important and very special. Tell me something. Is your family all on board with this? Are they part of the nonprofit too? How did they feel when you decided to make this your life's mission?
Yes, and I also want to answer your question about going global, because I know in Israel we have Yedidim, and then in the States we have Chaverim, I think they're called. So I do see, once we have the CRM system just super savvy and supportive, and we learn how to do this, we could duplicate it and go global. And it's such a Jewish concept. This is such a Jewish support. This is who we are. This is the type of energy that we bring to the world. So I do see us going global and being like Hatzalah. It has their specific niche. And I can see us as well, just really going global and supporting people all over the world, Jewish, not Jewish, because we value life. And early detection, especially saving the mothers, is rooted so much in Judaism. And I do have the support of my family, of course. My 2 brothers are on the board it's going to take a year, but they're going to be on the board of directors. My older brother gave me my first donation so that I can focus more on this. And so definitely, I know how important this is and that this is my mission. And it's helped me a lot because it took me a long time to find my mission. And then once you have it, nobody can distract you from it. It's like, I'm saving lives. You're either going to help me or you're going to get out of my way. And that's the beautiful part of this mission. It's also a direction and purpose and fulfillment. And why would I want to do anything else?
I love the way you put that, Hendee. And I love your tranquility. I love your spirituality. And I saw that too when we met in person. And for anyone that can see also your background, just you, a deep person, you're a spiritual person. I love what you represent. Share with us too. You mentioned earlier about getting married at 19, 20, already having children. Share with us a little bit about that, what it was like getting involved, being intense like that at a young age, how you felt with it, how you moved with it, and a little bit about your move away from being religious and changing your whole lifestyle, moving to a different way of life. I remember saying that when we met, that no way do you look old enough to be a mother of a couple of kids, some of them already older. So share with us and with our viewers about that part of your life.
Beautiful, because it's such a big part of who I am. And let's see if we could shift this. I don't know why it's not getting the beautiful background, but okay. So yeah, I think I was always religious because I was raised religious and I've always been a very good girl. So I never really thought to leave at all. But something just wasn't working for me. I think specifically, to be honest, like I was a rapper and a singer, and there was a lot of limitations to like opening myself. And also my spirituality is more earthy. I like music and being out in nature and going hiking, and that's where I connect. So I think I spent a long time feeling not connected, yet somehow like to me, it was almost like religion was blocking me from all this spirituality that I was really needing to access. And it was more in the water and in the dancing and in the singing and in that. And so I moved it like, I like to like, there's Abba Sheba Shemayim, which is like religion and biblical and scriptures and laws. It's like masculine. And then there's like Ima Adama, which is like the Shekhinah, feminine, circle consciousness, music. And I found that like the religious structure that was too masculine was just not giving me the space to step into my form of spirituality. And in my family, I learned this from my cousin who learned it, I think, from my grandfather. Religion is a private matter. It's private, it's personal, and it's your decision, and nobody needs to understand you. And so I have an interreligious home. My kids are Shomer Shabbat, my kids are religious. Their father's religious, and we've done Shabbats together, and everybody's super respectful of me, and I'm respectful of them. And some of my kids, I have teenagers, yeah, that one's almost enlisted in the army, still date someone that's not religious, because they know already that it's not about that in Israel. Diversity is beautiful. Interreligious homes are special. It's private. The real question is like, what are you doing to make this world better? What are you doing to solve problems, real problems, and how are you becoming a better person, and in what ways are you connecting with the divine in you? And so I feel more religious today than I was, because I'm just more spiritual and full of ritual and ceremony. Even Jewish ones, I incorporate that. I love Shabbat, and then I love my Shabbat hikes during the day that I couldn't do, or going out into nature. I do Shabbat activities. I'm not at the mall. So in my own way, I create these rituals. I do Netilat Yadayim, but when I do it, it's like also to just cleanse myself spiritually, not just because of the law.
So you found a level of spirituality or religiousness that basically works for you. And it's interesting because years ago, when you did move away, when you found it a little bit too stifling, I think things were very different. I'm not saying some of that doesn't exist now, but today there are definitely many options that I believe didn't exist many years ago, where you can still be religious and have that spiritual side and that creative and expressive side too, that maybe didn't exist before.
Yes, at the time I was like, the whole community was shunning me because I was in the newspaper for beatboxing. It was just a very closed-minded community. Now I see a lot of religious women that are singing and a part of the circle. And so it really depends on the community. Pardes Chana is a beautiful community, I have to say. And I really enjoy going to synagogue here, which is new for me because I never liked that. But it's so beautiful, and they're so welcoming, and they're so loving. So I find that, as I'm saying here, I'm like way more connected even to religion because of what you're saying. There's more options available. But I'm really comfortable with where I'm at, and I'm surprised. I thought I was just going to take a break. But then once I left, I was like, I like this. I like who I am. I like this. I like where I'm at.
That is so important, to like who we are, to like where we're at. And then we create new goals, we create a new vision. So our time is coming to an end. Before we end, please share how people can get hold of you. Give your phone number, give your email address. I see you are comfortable with that. And then share with us a few words summing up where Hendee sees herself in the future, where you see in your vision for Yad El Hadofek and for Rut Coffee.
My phone number is 050-432-1799. You can message me on WhatsApp and I will get back to you. And my email right now is Miriam, Miriam, Nikuda, so dot, Hendee, Hendee, @gmail.com. So those are the two places that you can reach me, and also on social media, Hendee Metuka. And that's my message for today, is to just call. I'm funny. We will have fun on the way to the doctor. It will be an experience that you're happy you said yes to. And I know that there's resistance, and we will work through it together, and ultimately it will be your choice and your desire, and you'll feel ready. Little voice inside that's saying I should call her, listen to that little voice.
I love that. The truth is, the first time I met you, Hendee, you were a delight. One becomes instantly attracted to you, and you definitely make people feel comfortable and put them at ease. Which is why when I met you, besides identifying with your vision and wanting to portray you for that, I said, this person has to be on my podcast. So thank you for everything that you do. Wishing you much continued success with this new nonprofit that you've started, and with the Rut Coffee, in honor of your special mother. Thank you to our viewers for watching another episode of the Monday Motivation Spotlight. Thank you, of course, as always, to our sponsors, to Eggert & Cohen Insurance in Jerusalem, and to Lali's Flower Boutique. I'm Lesley Kaplan, and I look forward to seeing you on another episode of the Monday Motivation Spotlight next week. In the meantime, have a great day. Bye-bye.